per year on average, all by referral, while maintaining things in life that matter much more than real estate. Today's episode, I've got a superstar out of Virginia. He's going to share the secrets with us, not just the secrets of business, but the secrets of life. It's going to be an incredible episode. I can't wait to introduce him to you. So the big question is this: how do those of us in the real estate industry who have crazy amounts of ambition, how do we think bigger than the building of our own empires? How do we create success and significance, income and impact? My name is Justin Stoddard. This is my co-host Stephanie Peck, and together we bring you the Think Bigger Real Estate Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to bring back to you, not just the Think Bigger Real Estate podcast, but someone who I'm very proud to know is a new friend of mine, but somebody who came highly recommended. Garrett Maroon, pleasure to have you on the Think Bigger Real Estate podcast.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks for having me, man. Your intro video makes me feel bad about my lack of intro video on my podcast, so we'll have to fix that. But no, I'm proud to be here, man. Excited to have a conversation with you for sure.
I love it. Well, I'm excited to have you here. Let's dive right in, and keep in mind that for those of you who have who maybe prioritize some things over real estate, like maybe your faith, maybe your family, stay tuned. We're going to get to that in the episode. And so again, if you're trying to figure out how do I have it all, we're going to get to that. We're going to start off with the real estate nuts and bolts. You've done on average over the past 6 years, 59 homes per year on average, all by referral. Can you give us some insights? What does that even look like from your perspective? I'd love to know the size of your team. Is it just you? Do you have kind of some support? So let's start with that.
Yeah, so absolutely, brother. Happy to share anything, right? So, and I want to encourage agents. I've been in the business for 11 years. Took me 5.5 months to make my first sale. Almost quit all the time still, right? It's still hard. This is a challenging industry. And so just want to be encouraging and understand how hard and a fist fight it's been the past few years, right? But yeah, so super quick backstory. By my second full year in the industry, I was selling 50 homes a year, minimum by referral. About 3.5 years ago, I started a team. I brought on I had a couple agents, ended up making it simplified. Now I have one agent, one admin, and effectively I'm out of day-to-day production. And so he handles all of the referrals and does all of the business. And it's an incredible partnership. So I've been really grateful for that. The majority of business is still what I generate, but he is bringing in about 20 or so deals a year of his own, and I'm still bringing in about 50. So it's been a huge blessing, and man, I've loved every year. I mean, every year has had its challenges, right? But I've loved this industry. I love agents. I'm passionate about what we can do in this industry. So yeah, excited to share my story and anything that might be beneficial.
I love it. So you've really found somebody that is kind of the yin to your yang, if you will, somebody who really loves being on the ground, doing real estate all day, every day. And then it sounds like your role then is primarily just deepening and building relationships. Is that accurate? I mean, to produce another 50 deals?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the best part for me, Justin, honestly, has been, so I'll give a quick story. Yeah, I was selling a lot of homes. It was me and an admin. I did 50 deals a year myself for, I guess 5 or 6 years in a row. And then when I said, I really want leverage there, I want to start focusing on other things. But what I really wanted, honestly, was to bless somebody else with this opportunity. And I was doing coaching and things like that. And that was awesome. Don't get me wrong. But to be able to physically, tangibly produce income, hand it to someone, right, who I really cared about. So, I brought, his name's Jesse. I brought Jesse into the industry, thought he'd be really good at it. It was totally his hard work, right? I'm not going to take credit for it. But within a year, he'd earned the right to take on all of my business, right? That's what I had told him the whole time. The best part for me, Justin, the reason why I continue to lead generate, the reason why, I continue to be in this structure, in this scenario, because I have other things going on, is a couple months ago, he texted me, and this is not a touchy-feely kind of guy, right? He's from a small town. He's a hunter. He drives a big truck, right, with camo on it. We're very different. But he texted me a couple months ago, Justin. He just had his second kid, and it's him buying a new van for his wife. And he just sends me a text, says, Garrett, thank you so much for convincing me to get into this business. It's changed my life.
Hmm.
right? That is the single greatest moment I've ever had in real estate. And so it's just continued to fire me up to say, I just want to continue to produce, pour into him, right? It's going to change the course and direction of his family. He left home at 16, grew up really, really poor, right? Like it's going to totally transform the direction of his family. And so continuing to generate business, of course, it produces income for us. We're so grateful for that. Don't hear me say that. But it's also creating a better life for him. And that's the coolest piece that I've ever experienced in this business so far.
Man, there's nothing, I coach groups of professionals, and one of the things that I've realized is that, of course, we need to be compensated, but some of the greatest compensation comes when you're able to change someone's life. And they come back and say, wow, like my life would be so much different right now if it weren't for you, right? And it's like, whoa, that must feel really good, right? I mean, that does feel really good, and it's fun to see that, because you know that there's also a ripple effect, right? The patterns that he grew up in, the lifestyle that he grew up in, is very different than that his kids are going to grow up in, right? Their possibilities are expanded because dad's possibilities are expanded, right? Now, how fun is that to just think about the ripple effect throughout time, that one little opportunity, one little invitation to come and mentor and tutor and coach somebody up is going to have upon so many people.
Absolutely. And I think, I love you talk about the ripple effect. I talk about that all the time, right? We misunderstand as agents in this industry the ripple effect of a well-run business, right? Of a well-run household and family, right? Being present as dad and husband and present in building out your business and doing both. We misunderstand all the impacts it's going to have, not only by doing it well, right? But we also misunderstand, I think more often, is the times that we don't show up well, the times that we don't pursue excellence in our business, the times that, quite honestly, we just get lazy and we're not continuing to pursue what could it look like if I had a business that was, X, Y, or Z, whatever. It doesn't mean a ton of sales. Maybe that means fewer sales for you. And the ripple effect is you get to show up at home more, and your daughter's so thankful that she gets to grow up with her mom. Right? That we just misunderstand that sometimes when we take these other shots or just refuse to take them at all, there's the counteraction of a lack of ripple effect, right? Where your life is not impacting people the way that it could be or should be, and the way that you desire it to. So yeah, I agree with you, man. There's a ripple effect in everything we do, all the decisions we make, the leads that we generate, the people we bring in our team. And I think we need to, and I don't understand it fully, right, by any means, but I think we need to stop and have a bigger picture and see what's really happening.
Love it, man. Let's talk about some of the kind of nuts and bolts. What does it look like for you to generate 50 deals by referral per year? I know there's a lot of people on this, in this audience who would love to compare notes because they're at a similar level. And there's a whole group of people that are like, I would love to learn how to do that. I have no idea how to do that, right?
Yeah,
and still
sure.
maintain some balance in life. So kind of walk us through what your process looks like.
Yeah, so I mean, it took me 3 years to really build out my system to understand which levers to press on, right? So this is nothing takes, we all think it's happening quicker than it really does, right? That's just not the reality. And so for anybody, they don't have to follow my system or structure, right? It worked for me, and I teach a lot of people, how to do the same. But first and foremost, so I only have 275 people in my database. So if we just look at mathematically, how does this work? So I know the data, right? The average person knows 256 people. So if we just do easier math, because I can't do hard math, I'm an agent, right? I can do 3% of anything. But if I have 300 people in my database, times 256, that's 75,000 people that I'm reaching through those 300, right? The NAR, National Association of Realtors, has said I have a 91% chance to convert any one of those 75,000 that I get referred to. And so when I just looked at the math, I started to understand, well, wait a minute. If I can love on and care for effectively these 300 people, right, 275, these 275 people, if I can do that well, number one, it's not going to take me as much time as it would to cold call 75,000 people or however many you'd have to cold call, right? It's not going to cost me as much money. It's going to be way more enjoyable. And now all I'm doing is creating a sales force that is out there for me after hours and on weekends when I don't want to have to be. Because you have 6 kids, you're beating me by 1. We've got 5 little ones, right? I want to be home with them. I want to be able to put my phone away and be with my wife. And so it's given me that opportunity to do it. So when you start with math and you understand that, right? That's the first part. The second part of it is, so there was a survey they did in 2005 of 10,000 different people, Justin. They were trying to figure out how many close friends does the average person have. Well, in 2005, the average person said 6.2 close relationships. You fast forward 10 years, in 2015, they surveyed this same group of people and went from 6.2 to 2.1. Now, I haven't seen updated numbers for 2025. Maybe they'll do it, maybe they won't, I don't know. But do we think with the rise of social media and COVID, the number went up or down, right? The number went down. Even in 2022, the U.S. Surgeon General said there's an epidemic of loneliness as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And so what does that mean, right? When we understand the actual human condition, we understand the psychology of what's happening around us. Here's the sad reality. The people around us are over communicated but under cared for, right? People talking to them all the time. They're seeing social media all the time. Maybe even agents, maybe you, agent, accidentally, who care about the relationship, are just mailing them stuff, texting them, hey, who do you know thinking about buying or selling a home? When the reality is what they need is a friend, right? They need someone who's just gonna show up and care for them well. So when I started to understand all of these pieces that go deeper than just what do I do each day, it allowed me honestly to create a really, really simple system of how do I systematically care for these relationships. And so it was a really, really simple system. Nothing crazy, Justin. Yeah, we send a mailer every month. Yeah, we send an email every month. Those are really low value. The biggest value comes from every quarter we rotate through a personal touch, a personal reach out, right? So the first month of every quarter, so say January, I'm sending a video text to every single person in the database. And I'm never talking about real estate. It's Happy New Year, Justin. Man, I hope you and the family had an amazing Christmas holiday. Looking forward to seeing you guys at some of our events. If I can ever serve you guys in any way, let me know. Hit me up if you get a chance. Would love to hear how you're doing, right? Something really simple. The second month, we're writing a handwritten note or we're dropping off a gift. We actually shifted to Amazon gifts, which I'm happy to share that. But a handwritten note, right? Something simple. Again, as we record, it's November, so I'm writing notes this month to everyone in the database, just letting them know how truly thankful I am for their support of me and my business, right? So I'm just putting that in the mail. I know the data, less than 0.7% of mail today is a handwritten note. So I'm going to stop and take the time, create that emotional deposit. The third month of every quarter is a client event, right? And we do them really simply. They don't need to be crazy, but we do a client event every 3 months. And if my best people can't come, I invite them to sit down for coffee because I want to get face to face, right? It's just rinse and repeat. And then we just do that every single quarter. It's not complicated. It doesn't take a long time. It's just understanding, how do people want us to show up? How do they need us to show up? And how do I make sure I'm systematically building relationship and friendship with them? And at the end of the day, everybody wants their friends to win, right? Like, audience, if you're listening and you think about a friend of yours who maybe has a business, I had a buddy who opened a coffee shop, Justin, had never been there before. So maybe I shouldn't have done this, right? But my friends were asking me, hey, where should we go to grab a good cup of coffee? I'd be like, oh, go check out Canvas, right? My buddy Daniel opened it. I'd never been there. I mean, I assumed it was good, but I really wanted him to win. Why? He's a friend of mine. And when we live in a society where there's fewer friends than ever, which is a sad reality, we really want those few friends to win. And so that's how we actually build a business that's going to be sustainable. It's going to produce a large amount of referrals and continued business. So anyways, we can get into way more tactical stuff if that would be helpful. But from a 10,000 foot, maybe a 5,000 foot overview, that's really what's happening on a consistent basis.
So just in recap, month one is a personal contact. You're sending a video that at times probably leads to a phone call, I would imagine. Like, so good to hear from you, right? A conversation. You're taking care of people. Was month two of the quarter a gift? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, so in month one, so for me, I hate being on the phone. So I never call my people. I mean, transparently, never call. So I'm either texting them or sending them a video text, and they rarely ever call me back. It's just they're texting me back. And a lot of times they don't even respond, right? That's okay. So yeah, the second month is a handwritten note or
Got it. Okay.
An Amazon gift to 10 people, 10 of our best people. And then, yeah, the third month is a client event or coffee if that person can't come, who's one of our better people in the database.
It's so simple, right? Month one, I've got 300 people. My job is to touch people in this way this month, right? Mm-hmm. I've got to January to get it done, right? I've got till February to get this part done. Like, I love how you've simplified it, right? And I think when it comes from a spirit of what not what can I get from you all, right? Which is, oh, by the way, who do you have for me, right? It's how are you, right? That connection, that deep personal connection. And it's all about like actually like generating care and love and compassion for people and sending that their way, right? And inviting them to things that are valuable to them. So
Yeah.
super well done, my friend. I can
Yeah.
see how you've been able to perform at that level, right? I get it now because you've created a system that's it's not easy, but it's very simple, right? You still got to put in the work. You still got to do it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You mentioned something about the Amazon gift. Kind of tell us maybe some tactical about that.
Yeah. So again, everything that we do, myself and Jesse, right, from a team perspective, is data driven, right, psychology driven, understanding what consumers are looking for. So of course, and I would say this, Justin, any agent who hasn't been engaging their database at a high level in the past few years, I would say spend the next 2 years doing actual physical pop by gift drop offs. Right, the value in that is, so we were giving out $2 things, right, Justin? It couldn't be more than $2. It'd be a $1 spatula, and it would say, I flippin' love your referrals, right? Or we did a chapstick for 30 cents, one thing of chapstick, and it was don't let your friends get chapped by a bad agent, right? And we drop it off, and it was just the value of showing up. When was the last time someone just showed up at your house to give you a gift, right? It doesn't happen. And so I did that for 8 or 9 years. And so then we shifted to, okay, is this getting repetitive? Is it getting old? And so we shifted to, what do people love? Well, it started with my own kids, right? My kids would freak out, Justin, when there's an Amazon box on the front porch, right? And they'd be so excited. They don't realize that it's just wipes for the baby, right? Or more diapers for whatever. But they're excited because there's a box there. Right, yeah, surprise. And so what we said is, okay, I bet we could do the same thing. And it allows me to be more intentional and more specific. So for example, now once a quarter, I'm stopping and I'm picking 10 people and I'm looking through social media and just say what's been going on in their life recently, right? So what's pretty common is, 2 weeks ago, their daughter had a birthday, and I can look and see that she loves Elsa from Frozen, which my daughter does too, right? And so I can get a gift on Amazon. I can order it. Maybe it's a little Frozen thing for $15, whatever it is. I screenshot it. I send it to them, to mom and dad, say, hey, guys, I just saw that, so-and-so's birthday was 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry I missed it. I ordered this for her. Please tell her happy birthday from me. That's all it is. And you get a double touch, right? Because I send them that picture. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so sweet. Didn't have to do that. And then when it arrives a day or two later, they send me another. Thank you so much. She loves it. That was so kind. So we've been trying to elevate with Amazon gifts. It's also a good leverage on our time, right? Yeah. Again, if you haven't done this, if you're not giving gifts, I'd still say try to show up for another year or two, or do it for a year or two. Actually physically show up with people. But after that, shifting to Amazon has been wildly effective for us too. Time leverage, they love it. And so that's another simple way to go about doing that as well.
Garrett, talk to us about your client events. Are they always client appreciation? Are some of them educational? I'd love to pick your brain on that for our audience.
Yeah, always appreciation events. I'm not saying it's wrong. A lot of other people will do a huge blowout and say, invite your friends and invite anybody and everybody to come. That's okay. It's not like I have data to say that's wrong to do that. We've always been about, we're just saying thank you, right? So every single time when we have an event, I just get up real quick and just say, thank you all again. If you weren't referring us or choosing to work with us and sending us your friends when they're thinking about buying or selling, we wouldn't be able to take care of our families, and they're right here. We wouldn't be able to take care of our families, right? We wouldn't be able to throw amazing parties like this just to honor you guys. So thank you for your continued trust in us. That's it, right? So I'm telling him thanks. That's what it is. It's a touch. It's inviting them to that. I think what I've seen, Justin, is I've coached a lot of agents. The hesitation is they think it needs to be really complex and expensive, and it doesn't. When I started my business, I was spending on average about $2,500 per party. And what I did wrong was, instead of spending less and seeing if it was effective, I just spent more and thought, well, this is what I have to do, right? So I'm spending 10 grand on average per year for these events. Well, in 2019, maybe 2018, I can't remember exactly when, I said, I wonder what would happen if instead of 2,500, if I spent 800 on average. I wondered if we'd have the same reaction to it, right? Is it about the expense of the event, or is it about inviting them to something fun and being thoughtful about it? So we shifted it around completely. And I also have a mortgage lender that's paying half. So I'm paying like $400 on average. Guess what happened? Nothing. We sold the exact same amount of houses. I sold 50 houses even that same year when we spent less money. Why? Again, it's understanding what do our people want. So we'll do simple things, and now we just rotate through. We have 4 we do every single year. But like in June, we do an ice cream social. Go to a local ice cream shop. We've worked with them for like 7 years in a row. Hey, we're going to come. They open from 11 to 1 for us. We invite our people in and say, hey, come in. We say hi. They go, they check in, right? They're keeping a tab. Everybody has ice cream. They have fun. Grab some photos. Talk to them for a minute. Everybody leaves. It's over and done with in 2 hours. I didn't have to prep. I didn't have to do anything right. I got to show up and build relationships. It wasn't about me hosting. It wasn't about me coordinating everything. I show up and I build relationships. They have a fun time. Who doesn't want free ice cream in June, right? And so we're just building relationships. We're doing things that are fun for them because we love them and they know that. And so it doesn't need to be complex, right? We overcomplicate it, which is why we don't do it. My philosophy is if it's not simple enough at the beginning of the year, where I know that 90 to 100% probability that I'm actually going to do it, then it's too complex, right? Most of us build lead gen strategies just on possibility. Well, this would be amazing if I did all these things. Well, sure it is, right? But what's the probability that you're actually going to do it? Something this year is going to knock you off course. It just is. You don't know what it is, but you build your lead gen plan as if everything in your life is going to go perfectly. Well, that's not going to happen. And so how do we create something that is so simple? To your point, it is so simple that no matter what happens in my life, when we had our 5th child this year, right? Even when we had him and I shut down for a month, guess what I was able to do? I was able to knock out my notes. It only took me a couple hours. I kept pushing my business forward, right? I want to be the tortoise, not the hare in that famous fable. And so how do we do that? It's got to be simple. It's got to be duplicatable. It's got to be easy to understand, and it's got to be inexpensive, right? Because if it's based on how much money I'm bringing in each year might fluctuate based on market conditions and all the things. And now what? You're not serving your clients anymore? That doesn't make sense. So, man, I really am fortunate that for 3 years, I really honed in on what should this system be? How do I make it so in November of 2029, I'll know exactly what we're doing and I'll be able to afford it. So it's been a blessing, and any agent can do the same thing.
Quick question for you. Obviously, you're out of production now. You're building these relationships. How often is it people refer you and they want you, right? How do you navigate that? What's the simple conversation that you have that makes people feel comfortable that while you're the relationship, you're not the one that's going to be out showing the homes?
Yeah, good question. So, I guess probably referred 180 deals maybe to Jesse in the past couple of years. And so it's really simple, right? What I learned early on is they're not committed to you as much as they're committed to the standard of service you represent. So we've got to get over the ego, honestly, or the vanity that it's only about me. They must have me. Well, that's not true, because if you weren't around and you had left the business, they went somewhere else, they might like them too, right? And so it's been honestly relatively simple, Justin. I was worried about that transparently early on. Of the 175, 180 I've given Jesse, twice has it happened where someone said, honestly, Garrett, when I was going to introduce Jesse, honestly, Garrett, if it's not you, we're going to go with somebody else because we do know another agent pretty well. And those are the times I'll say, hey, don't worry, I'll take care of you guys, right? Or I'm helping right now a really good family friend from church, and I want to personally help them. They've got a pretty unique scenario, so let me help you guys. Let me help navigate through this for you. But most of the time when a referral comes in, right? So there's 2 scenarios. Either I get referred to somebody or it's a past client. When I get referred to somebody, that's relatively easy. Hey, Justin, thanks so much for the introduction. Hey, just so you know, I'm going to bring in my business partner, Jesse, right? When we talk to whoever, Kim, right? When we talk to Kim, we're going to make sure that she gets help right away. It'll either be me or Jesse hopping on that initial call. And guess what? It's always Jesse. He always takes over. They're never upset. Why? Because Jesse does an amazing job. Our TC does an amazing job. And so there's no, a love lost there. And then when they're a personal client, a personal coming back to me, right now, most of the time, these agents or these clients know, because we've been branding Garrett and Jesse now for a long time, because I wanted them to see both. It's really simple. Hey, man, we're so excited how we have, 12 under contract right now, and most of them are my past clients. And so all I'm saying to them is, man, guys, this is awesome. Hey, because of you and my business has grown, and you guys know, we now have 5 kids. I have a lot less free time. I brought Jesse in, who handles all the day-to-day. He's quicker to get to you. He's more responsive, and he does an amazing job. So Jesse and Sierra, our TC, are going to handle all the day-to-day for you. I absolutely am still here if you ever need anything, but I promise you, you won't, because they're going to do such a good job. Great, Garrett, no problem. We trust you, right? So because the business is already built on trust, all I'm doing is introducing who I say say is my business partner, right? Yeah, he's an agent on my team, but I look at him as a business partner, and they say, great. If they have a bad experience with him, then there's going to be a problem. If they don't, I'll give you a very quick story, Justin. I just introduced a couple to Jesse, and they were like, well, Garrett, we really want to work with you. We would love for you to help us, all the things. And I said, man, I love you guys, but I forget where I was out of town or something was going on. And I just said, look, I can't get to this right away. Jesse can. I promise you're going to have a good time with him. And they're like, well, we're not sure, whatever. After they went and met Jesse, they literally texted me and they said, you're right, we like Jesse way better than you. I'm like, fantastic, right? And so again, if you have quality players, they're not upset when you introduce them to somebody else. So there is a gap there. Too many agents who are trying to do that and hand off referrals, they've offered out a C+ opportunity to the market, gotten back maybe a B player, and wondered why it doesn't work. You got to get out of your own way. Your ego's standing in the way. Step back, say, you have the right to earn my business. Here's an A+ opportunity. That's how you find an A+ player. That's how your clients are never upset.
Super good. I think this is a great segue. You talked about having 5 kids. I also have a big family, super proud of that. Talk to me about, at what point did you and your wife decide that you wanted to have a big family? Was it right away, or was it just one at a time?
Man, good question. I think that we knew that we had said early on, Justin, you'll appreciate it. We had said early on before we had kids, let's have 4 or 5. Then we had 1, and we're like, all right, do we even want 2? This is way harder than we thought.
Totally.
It was a really hard transition for us. And then, honestly, we just kept going. I don't know. I mean, in the Lord's kindness, he's continued to bless us with kids, right? Basically every 2 years. And so, we just continue to do it. It's a joy. It is the greatest privilege of my life. And so if I'm going to build a business, who am I building this for? Well, yeah, I want to impact the world around me. Yeah, I want ripple effects of Jesse and other things. But my first responsibility, my first discipleship, right, as a Christian husband and dad, is at home. And so I'd like to have more of them that I can pour into and love on and care for. So, man, we just kept going, and it's hard, but it's also amazing, and I'd never trade it for anything in the world. And are we done? I don't know. I guess maybe have me back on in a year or two, and we'll see. We'll see if we've caught you or not. Maybe you'll keep going too, but we'll find out.
So at what point, so our story was similar, is that, well, we said early on we want to have 6 kids, but it was one at a time, right? And we got to 5, we weren't done. We got to 6, we're like, we're done. Like, it was very obvious that we are done. Our little Maisie,
Awesome.
she was a handful, and it was time. So yeah, but same with you. Oftentimes when people think about kids, like, oh my goodness, that must be so much work. And what's discounted for the younger generation is trying to decide what they want their life to look like, right? I'll stand here as a witness today to tell you, just like Garrett did, that there is nothing that will bring you more joy in your life than being a parent, period, right? And so if you're trying to decide, well, can I do that and still succeed in my career? Garrett's here as a witness to tell you that yes, you can, that you can have an incredible business and still be an incredible father. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you balance that? I mean, I guess Jesse is part of the answer for that, 100%, right? Is that you've brought in somebody who is as good or better than you when it comes to real estate, that you can tell your clients, this is who's going to take care of you, kind of boots on the ground, and I'm here to to support in other ways. Talk us through anything else that you've done in your life to be able to not have your business success eclipse what's most important at home.
Yeah, love that question. So, yes, kids are the hardest and greatest thing we'll ever do. Absolutely, hands down. There's no question about it, right? I had 3 kids with 1 on the way before I brought Jesse in. So we had a 4, 2, and newborn before I brought Jesse in. And so the number one way that any agent can still find balance, right, in this industry is, where do you get your business from? Because there's 2 schools of thought, right? One is your referral, and you're attracting people, right? And they trust you, and they come in with a lot of trust. The other way is you cold call, you door knock, you open house. You don't have a relationship with them, but you just do enough, you're skilled enough to convince them that maybe you're the right agent. Well, if that's the way you build your business, there's no shade on that. Any of those can work. But if that's the way you build your business, that consumer looks at you as only a commodity, right? Well, if Garrett can't do it right now, I'll just go find somebody else. As opposed to, if your business is built on relationships, trust, if you do social media effectively, which I don't, so don't ask me how, but if you're doing social media effectively, right? And I've seen friends of mine who bring business in through YouTube, whatever, and those people come in with a high level of trust. You're an asset, right? So imagine if you are cold calling, door knocking, all those things, you're an urgent care, right? If you are building a business on trust and all those things, you're the specialist that people line up and wait for. And so there's a total different approach there, right? So for example, I have two phones. I have a work phone and a personal phone. I sometimes forget to check my work phone for days, which is terrible for a business owner, right? But I forgot to check it for a couple of days, Justin. I saw that I had a text from a past client who was trying to refer me somebody, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I totally, didn't see this, whatever. And she literally said, it's okay. I told my friend it's worth waiting because Garrett's team is awesome, right? What would have happened if my business was built anyway else? They would have just found somebody else. And so that's a huge way, right? Is do they show up and do they trust you? Are they excited to work with you? Do they view you as that surgeon, or are you urgent care where they can show up whenever they feel like it, as long as you're open 9 to 9 or whatever the hours are? The way you build your business matters in terms of how you can protect your time. So even when I was the one selling day to day, I had an admin, I was selling 50 a year, right? With 3 kids at home, I'd sit down with my clients and I would literally say, I've got 3 little kids at home. You guys know this, or we were referred, right? I'm talking about them, learning about, and I'm telling them about me. And so I'd say, so here's my availability, right? I'm available to you from 8 to 5, Saturdays by appointment, never on Sunday unless we're in the midst of a negotiation and I don't want you guys to lose out. So of course I'll help you in that scenario, right? And they'd say, oh, okay, well, what if we need to see homes past 5? And I would say, well, rarely is that necessary, right? Typically we're better off going during the day. That makes sense for me. That can make sense for you guys. And so I'll always let you know, right? If it's, Tuesday from 1 to 4, can you guys do Thursday 2 to 5? And everyone would say, well, I'm working then. Hey, I totally appreciate that. Maybe when we get there, ask your boss if they're willing to let you out. They almost always are willing to let you out, right? And so if they wouldn't for some reason, I would say, hey, don't worry, guys. Let's go look at some homes. I'm good till 7. I got to get home for bedtime, but I'm good till 7. And they respected that. They always respected that, right? Because they came saying, if you're a surgeon, I need you, right? I can't just go call anybody else who's sitting there waiting to pick up the phone. I need this person because of where the business came from. Whether it was years of pouring into them relationally, or it was years of pouring into someone relationally who said, you can trust Garrett, he will take good care of you. It doesn't matter if you got them on a Zillow lead, that same consumer. It doesn't matter if you cold called that same consumer. I guarantee you the fact that trust in me was transferred from someone they trusted, it's gonna beat that out every single time. And so it just determines where you build your business and how you scale that business is going to determine what kind of boundaries you're allowed to have. I think that's number one. The second one simply is we treat ourselves, we are taught that you've got to be available 24/7. That's good customer service. I don't think that's true at all, right? At the end of the day, here's the truth. If I can't take care of my family, I certainly can't take care of theirs. And so where are my priorities, right? Especially as a man of faith, as someone who believes in Jesus and follows the Lord, I know that if I honor what he's called me to do, right? First, my relationship with him. Second, my relationship with my wife. Third, my relationship with my kids. And then my work. And I want to do that with excellence. Don't get me wrong, right? I want to honor him by being excellent in it. I want to honor them by being excellent in it. But if I have the right order, right, and I honor that, the order that he's given me, because, my kids can't go get another dad, but the client could go get another agent if they wanted to. If I focus on that and I take care of them really well in the time that's allotted, while I still make sure I'm taking care of my family, the Lord's going to honor that. My customers are going to honor that. In the handful of times in 11 years where they didn't, I was able to say, I appreciate this. Hey, I'm not available 24/7. I know we talked about it early on. If that's what you're looking for, I respect that. Let me help you find an agent who maybe can do that for you. We're not a good fit, right? And so how you generate business, how much business and how effective you are at it, all of those things play into, do I get to choose where my feet are going to be? When I turn my phone off, all of those things. And so, that's my passion. It sounds like yours too. I want agents. I want to restore the real estate agent family because we've lost it in this pursuit of busyness and hustle and got to answer the phone all the time. When was the last time you were at family dinner, right? When was the last time you were on your kid's soccer game on the sidelines and you weren't looking at your phone and checking emails or texts? When was the last time you were on date night and you actually could put your phone away and not feel like you got to answer because Zillow called and it's 5 minutes to speed of lead or whatever? That's not a way to have a life. And so there's a better way. and the industry has taught you that, to your point, nothing matters, sacrifice it all because look, I just posted about you because you were the number 5 agent in the office. Who cares if you go home to an empty house? It doesn't matter. And so let's actually build the life and the business in the right way. You can totally do it. We got to figure out who you are. We got to build it the right way. We got to put boundaries in place, and it's going to be an amazing business and an amazing life. And man, just like you, that's my heart for agents.
Garrett, I feel like I'm speaking to a brother from another mother. It's so interesting as I hear people talk about the whole speed to lead. In fact, you took the words out of my mouth, right? If you've been taught that you've got to, if you got 30 seconds to call somebody back, you are not doing business as you could be doing business. Here's what I mean by that is that if people only value you for 30 seconds before they swipe left like a cheap dating app, I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way in your personal life, if I'm speaking to anybody, whether that's resonating, number one. And number two, it doesn't have to be that way in your business. That like give yourself the respect that you deserve and allow your clients to show you that same respect. And it's interesting, there's a store here in town, and I'll oftentimes ask my wife, what time do they close, right? And I'll go like 30 minutes before they close. In other words, I could have gone all Saturday afternoon to this little hardware store, Ace Hardware store, but I'm like, no, I'll wait and I'll go at the end. In other words, if you give people like, 15 hours a day to contact you, they'll probably contact you at the end of those 15 hours. Like it's Parkinson's law, right? Work grows to expand the time available. And if you give people this huge window to contact you, they'll probably wait until the end of the window to do it because they're busy doing other things, and humans by nature are procrastinators. When you squeeze down your windows, guess what? You still get the same amount of work done, and your respect goes up. You're not seen as a commodity, as easily replaceable, right? In fact, I love the fact that people said that line. That's one line that I'll oftentimes say, which is you don't want to be a commodity. You want to have clients who are willing to wait for you and pay for you, right? And if they're not, then guess what? There are people out there who will if you position your business properly. And by the way, it's not getting your business through online portals because they will simply jump to the next shiny object agent rather than recognizing the value that you bring to the equation. So such a fan of yours. I can see why we were introduced. Thank you, Matt Johnson.
Yeah.
Tons in common. Let's end this episode talking about faith. Obviously, building a business with a young family requires us to do difficult things. One of the Stoddard family mantras is, I'm a Stoddard and I can do hard things. I'm a Stoddard and I love to do hard things. And at the core of that is that there is one who did everything hard to teach us how to do that, right? Faith is at the core of who we are as a family. And so we recognize that we can do a lot more hard things, right, with faith at our back. Talk to us about how that shows up for you, both in family as well as in business.
That's awesome. And it's funny, we say to the kids all the time, we can do hard things, right? Constantly. we basically are the same person, you just have better hair. And one more kid. But I think that, so with the faith aspect, right? I think I can describe it maybe this way. But and part of my mission, right, in writing the book and trying to help and coach and teach people is your job is not to be all things to all people, right? Be who the industry tells you to be. Go cold call, door knock, social media, all the things. Your job is to figure out who you already are and go be excellent at that, right? Like, I'm sitting down, I'm 5'6" 3/4. The 3/4 matters, Justin. But one of my wife's best family friends, right? The dad is 6'10". Okay, we're visiting them. He's a massive human. We're visiting them, and he takes me into his office to show me all this amazing sports memorabilia. And it was really cool. That's not what I remember. He worked at a standing desk, right? I could walk back and forth under it without ducking, Justin. And I'm like, how are we the same? This doesn't even make sense, right? Well, here's the reality. If I spent my whole life wondering, why can't I dunk a basketball? I'm supposed to be able to dunk a basketball and I can't, I'm a failure, then I'm never going to build a business that's successful at all. I'm never going to shift perspective and say, you know what, I bet I'm better at hide and seek than he would be, right? Like, where are the strengths? That's a weird example, but where are the strengths that I have that he doesn't, and vice versa? That's fine. If this is who I am and who the Lord wired me to be, I'm going to go be excellent at that. That's my job. I can't be all things. I can't do that. I'm not going to be good at this. That's okay, right? I'm fine with that. I'm going to be excellent at one thing. For me, that was relationships. And so the reason I say that is I really believe that our industry needs to have a reset to say we're going to actually build and operate in authenticity. You might not believe what we believe, right? You might not be a man or woman of faith believing in God. That's okay, right? I'd love to talk to you about that, side note, but that's okay. Maybe you believe something else. Maybe you are passionate about, one of my good friends is passionate about animal rescue. Fantastic. Go be that. You were wired to be passionate about that. Now figure out, how do I do that and use that to also grow my business, right? Why? Because that's who you are. We as an industry should show up more authentically. So I was on a podcast a couple weeks ago or months ago, I can't remember, Justin, and the gentleman at the very beginning said, hey, we know that you guys founded, or that you founded this faithful agent community. It's for Christian agents, right? You host that podcast, whatever. But this is not a place to talk about faith. Please leave that at the door. He said that. And so I said, hey, I respect that. This is your show. I'm not offended, right? But I said, here's the truth for me. It's not a backpack that I take on and off, right? I don't just wear it sometimes, and sometimes I follow Jesus, and sometimes I'm a dad, and sometimes I'm an agent, but I can be whatever you want me to be. This is my identity. I can't take it on and off. Just like, and you know, I don't remember his name, honestly, but just like you can't change that this is who you are and you're married with one kid. You can't change that. It's part of your identity, and that's okay. You shouldn't, right? Let's not try to pretend like we can put everything in a box and be this one day and that one day and that another day. It's not true, right? Show up as who you are. It's your identity. Build a business off of that. It's your identity. So the greatest thing for me, honestly, Justin, was getting to the point where I just didn't care if people didn't like it. It was like, this is who I am anyways. The most exhausting thing I can do is try to be something I'm not, and do that every single day and do it really well. That's exhausting. The best thing I can do, the way that I can live without burnout, the way that I can build a business that attracts the right people, is just to be really true to who I am. And if you guys don't like it, again, it's not that I'm trying to be mean. If you don't like it, I'm not offended by that, right? Because this is who I am. I can't be something else. And so, man, so much of understanding faith and the reality of who I am and how I was wired to be, and my identity in Christ, right? All of those things play in to say, I don't need to create an identity. I have one by the Lord's kindness. And now I can just build a business, say, this is who I am. I'm 5'6" 3/4. I love donuts, right? I'm trying to work on that. But I love people, and I want to care for people. I've got 5 kids. I don't have a ton of time to do it. When I show up, I'm going to do my best. When I'm off work, I'm going to try to do my best for them. And I hope you can do the same, whoever you are, and whatever your scenario is, listener. That's what you should do. Be authentic and try to be really good at being you. That's what business is supposed to look like. That's how we avoid burnout. That's how we build bigger businesses. That's honestly how we build a better life.
You know, I was sitting with a friend the other day, and he was telling me about a book that he recently read that was really impactful for him. I think it was called The Second Summit. He said oftentimes people spend the majority of their working years trying to summit the first mountain, which is all about creating success and abundance. And they get there and it's kind of hollow, right? And they realize that there's a second summit that they wish they would have embarked on initially, which is finding purpose and meaning. And what I hear you saying, Garrett, is that you can actually have both, right? You can actually have a very successful business, and one that is deeply infused with purpose and meaning, the identity of who you are. Whatever that looks like, for whoever's listening, right? You won't be the same as me, you won't be the same as Garrett, but you'll be the same as you if you go seeking for that. And you can actually instill and infuse deep purpose into your business and deep meaning based on who you are. So go find that, embrace it. And this is an amazing template for everybody listening today that really embodies what this show is about, right? Sometimes people say, think bigger real estate. That must mean creating a bigger empire, bigger portfolio. That's not what it means. Actually, thinking bigger than real estate. It's actually creating a successful business and a significant life. And I can't think of a better guest that we've had on this show that better embodies that. Garrett, it's been such a pleasure to have you on. We are friends. New friends, but deep friends already, because we've got so much in common, man. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
For all you've contributed. And to everybody listening there today, I want you to think deeply about what Garrett said. He's hit a number of the most important topics that could be discussed for a real estate agent. And I want you to think hard about that. If we can be of help, Garrett, how might people be in contact with you if your message really resonated with them?
Yeah. So again, man, honored to have been here. I hope it impacted anybody. But go to GarrettMaroon.com. That's the best way. They can contact me there. They can grab the book that's coming out there. Man, I care about this industry. I care about agents. I care about your families. And any way I can help, please reach out.
So good. And my final request of everybody listening here today are 3 simple words. And they are go think bigger. Garrett, thanks for helping us do that today, my friend.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care. All right, and we're stuck on this last part. Sorry, everybody.
That's awesome.
All right, everybody.